Now, let me share with you what it was that truly inspired this movement. As many of you may know, I'm an associate real estate broker. I've been licensed for several years now, and I've worked with various individuals from buyers, sellers, investors, wholesalers, tenants, and as of late, working with low to moderate income families who are simply just trying to make it to tomorrow. I have also, as of late, been afforded the opportunity to work with families that are either in or approaching the probate process who may have a piece of real estate that needs to be liquidated. Now, what is probate? Probate is the legal process in which a deceased individual's estate is settled through the courts. So, when someone passes away, which, word to the wise, we're all leaving here one day, y'all. Everything that they own, their houses, their cars, their bank accounts, any insurance policies, stocks, bonds, any investments that they had, those things have to go somewhere. Probate is the process in which that is determined. Where are these things gonna go? Who's gonna get them? How will they be distributed? I worked with a gentleman last year, and for privacy purposes, we'll call him Mr. Lotta. You will see shortly why his name is gonna be Mr. Lotta. Mr. Lotta and I were connected because his grandfather had passed away, and prior to his grandfather's passing, he had determined that Mr. Lotta would get the family home. Mr. Lotta wanted to liquidate the assets so that he could use the funds of the sale to now invest in other things. Sounded good to me. Additionally, the house needed a lot of work, and Mr. Lotta just didn't have the funds to get it done yet. So we decided that he would sell in as-is condition. Mr. Lotta and I came up with a sales price of $225,000 because as far as he knew, there was a very little mortgage left to be paid on the property, so he would walk away with a pretty penny. Now, what I failed to mention is that Mr. Lotta was about 27 or 28 years old, I'd say. $200,000 is a lot of money for someone that is really just now starting out in life, especially considering that they wanted to do something beneficial and profitable with the money. So for Mr. Lotta, I went and found an investor that was willing to purchase the property for the $225,000. Their intention was to purchase it, rehab it, and sell it for a profit. That would have made now two people who was able to come up on hundreds of thousands of dollars off this one house that Grandpa Lotta had probably worked his entire life in order to purchase, to maintain, and to raise his family in. Prior to the buyer going under contract on the house, I had asked Mr. Lotta to give me any piece of information, whether it was a piece of mail, an email, any type of communication that he may have received from a mortgage company or a real estate attorney, so that I could truly understand where he was in the process. I had even asked Mr. Lotta to give the mortgage company permission to speak to me directly so that I was able to understand exactly how much money was owed on the mortgage and what we needed to do in order to get the property sold. Unfortunately, Mr. Lotta drug his feet significantly during this step. So Mr. Lotta did in fact put me in contact with the mortgage company. I was able to learn on this phone call that the balance left to be paid on the mortgage was a little over $20,000. However, the property was already being prepared for foreclosure. This was on a Friday. The property was due to be sold the following Tuesday. That Monday was a holiday, so any and everything that we did in order to keep this property from being foreclosed on had to be done today. The mortgage company stated that we could get the property removed from foreclosure sale and reinstate the loan by paying a roughly $7,500 balance, but we would need to speak with the attorney directly in order to facilitate this. We did speak with the attorney's office, and unfortunately, they absolutely refused to remove this property from their sale. They even mentioned that the house, the property, was first on their sale list for the following Tuesday, and that the property was going to sell. There was nothing that Mr. Lotta could do. I explained to him exactly what was going on and what this process could look like. Unfortunately, he lost the house. I had to contact the buyer and let them know that the closing wouldn't take place. Although they had a slight idea what was going on all along, and essentially they hadn't lost any money, they were still very much so disappointed, as this was a missed opportunity for them as well. Mr. Latta lost a lot of money, and it didn't have to be that way had he been properly informed and given the resources that he needed to maintain this valuable asset that was literally given to him. This is something that could have sustained him and his family for generations to come. Because of Mr. Latta and his unfortunate loss, I've been inspired to create a resource business designed to assist families through the probate process. We also work with families of Black and Brown communities who are underserved and underrepresented in regard to economic and financial matters. We want to encourage families to get their shit together so that upon their passing, their families are not left putting together the pieces of a puzzle that was left behind. We also want these families to be able to maintain any assets that they may have inherited, such as in the story of Mr. Latta, as well as create and maintain a generational wealth plan that can be passed down to their children's children. If you think proper estate planning is too expensive or time consuming for you, then you haven't considered the cost and the time that it'll take from your family later on down the road if you don't. How good of a feeling would it be to know that if God was to call you home tomorrow, you left assets and not chaos for your family? So when you all hear me say we need to get our shit together, now you will understand exactly what that means. Subscribe to my channel to learn more about probate real estate, financial literacy, and generational wealth planning.